Welcome to Morning Brew for Marketing Executives, the podcast where senior B2B marketing leaders from globally recognized brands and complex industries share their stories and experiences. Here we dive into the world of marketing leadership and hear more about what it's like to be a marketing leader. In this episode, we welcome Sirpa Ikola, a seasoned business leader with a global career in the telecom, consumer electronics, and energy industries. She is currently the Country Director of Home and Distribution and Power Products for Finland within Schneider Electric's Europe operations. You will hear experiences and tips on working as one team in sales and marketing, and also insights on working with and in a management team and navigating the executive landscape as a marketing leader. This episode is hosted by Jani Hovila, the Managing Director of Maven First, who has over a decade of experience working with marketing professionals in complex industries. Let's get started.
Good morning, Sirpa. Welcome to the show.
Good morning, and thank you, Jani. Pleasure to be here.
It's great to have you here, and I'm so excited about today's episode and the topics with all the marketing stuff, your long career in different companies, and the tips and tricks maybe even, and maybe some learnings we will have as well. So happy to have you here. But first off, all of our listeners will be thinking, who is Sirpa? And I always like to start from, can you give a little bit of background information? What's your journey to your current position? And of course, what you do right now at Schneider?
Fair enough. Yes, so my name is Sirpa Ikola, and I am currently the Country Sales Director for Home and Distribution Business Unit, as well as a Power Products Business Unit at Schneider Electric in Finland. I know it's a mouthful, but basically what we do is provide innovative solutions for residential and small businesses when it comes to safety, comfort, energy efficiency, but also really sort of efficient and safe electrical systems even for larger corporations. So really all about optimizing energy, making energy safer, and making homes and offices more comfortable.
That's good. And then now our listeners are like, hey, actually, did she mention sales and not marketing? So can you give a little bit of a background journey, how you ended up now in the sales side, on the other side of the fence?
Good question. So if we start, perhaps go back a little bit, a few years, when I graduated as long back as 1992 from Åbo Academy University, with a business degree, I realized quite fast that the job market isn't very lucrative. So I applied for scholarship to study further my studies abroad. And I was very lucky to be granted a scholarship to study in the US. And I pursued then my MBA in Dallas, Texas, of all the places. That sort of brought me into more international management and also marketing. And during my studies at the university there, I met up with few people from Ericsson and ended up starting my career at telecoms. So, and that telecoms journey lasted me all in all more than 15 years. And sort of from the Dallas times at Ericsson, I was then transferred to Finland at my own request. And over time, working at Ericsson in Finland, I thought that perhaps I'm not done with my international career yet. So I learned the art of broadcasting what I would like to do with my career, although I was very young and very early in my career. And that helped because I was then interviewed for an expat role in Asia. And I had no preference where in Asia they would send me. And finally, when I was among the last candidates to be interviewed, they told me that the position would be in Singapore. So I kind of had to look in the map, where is Singapore? But finally, I was chosen. And in 1998, I moved to Singapore and I was working there a couple of years with Ericsson. And then they moved me for 6 months period to Hong Kong, which was also very eye-opening. And while in Hong Kong, I was headhunted by Nokia in Singapore. So Obviously, the Ericsson managers told me that this would happen to Finnish people at some point
Yeah.
when Nokia was at its best. So in 2000, I then joined Nokia back in Singapore and worked for the totally best, most exciting years at Nokia from 2000 to 2012 at Nokia mobile phone side in Singapore and across Southeast Asia in roles such as business development, category management, product management, and of course, creating marketing campaigns for, in particular, E-series Nokia devices. So very, very, very comprehensive career in both understanding the software, the hardware of the phones, but also the end user requirements and the whole distribution reseller environment.
Yeah.
So big learning in B2C marketing to understand how you digitally and non-digitally approach customers and make them prefer Nokia devices. And well, that's not all. Then my career after Nokia continued with the Taiwanese manufacturer HTC, which was a fascinating journey from Symbian operating system now into Google OS and to a market where HTC had fantastic, good quality phones, but was very often shadowed by Samsung with much larger marketing budgets and resources.
Yeah.
So a good challenge to try to understand where we find preference for HTC. And after my 2 years at HTC, I felt that I've basically seen everything in telecoms, in the mobile phone side, and I wanted to change industry. It wasn't that simple to do that in Asia, so I made a big decision to quit the industry and move back to Finland. And at the same time, I had started back in school, so I went back to study for an executive master's at INSEAD. And while I was completing my master thesis for INSEAD, I then applied with Schneider Electric. I found the energy management, energy industry very fascinating. And I was lucky to be offered a role at Schneider. And that's the journey I'm at now. So close to 9 years at Schneider Electric in Finland, and 8 of those years in pure marketing, B2B marketing. And now for approximately coming close to now 100 days, I have now been awarded a new role to lead 2 very crucial business units, P&L responsibility, and back into a lot more sort of customer-facing and technical role, if you would say so.
All the way from Turku, first to Dallas, Texas, then to Singapore, Hong Kong, and are you now in Espoo or?
I'm in Espoo.
Okay, so we are not yet coming full circle back to Turku. Not yet, at least.
No.
No.
Espoo is the location, and home is in Helsinki. So
okay, yeah.
This is where I'm comfortable now.
Yeah. That's I have so many questions just on of course we have multiple facets of B2C marketing, of course the sales side of things, your role leading multinational marketing team at Schneider, Nordic Baltic, am I right? Combined?
Yes, correct.
Yeah.
Close to 5 years of Nordic Baltic marketing.
Definitely. So many questions to ask, but first off, what's your desk right now? Let's take some regarding some aspect of marketing, of course, strategy and PLN responsibility. So probably many things, but regarding marketing, what's on your desk right now?
One of the things we think about a lot and we plan for a lot is how to reach customers better, how to reach them digitally. With the current GDPR restrictions, you have to get a marketing permission from your customers to be able to direct email them and to advertise and market to them directly. So it is quite a challenge. And we have done a great job in creating amazingly bigger brand awareness for Schneider, from low 5-7% digits to now more than 55% when you look at the relevant competitors in Finland market. So we have increased the brand awareness amazingly. So Schneider is much better known, but now we need to make sure that we have that we actually reach those customers, those focus customers and partners that we want to focus. The sort of generic purpose marketing for all is not going to work for us anymore. We need to be able to, at the right time, to right people, bring our marketing messages, educate them on our solutions, educate them on possibilities that they have with our technology for their business dilemmas. So it's really all about reaching the right customers at the right time.
Our listeners probably feel like very connected to that, because I think that's probably the challenge on everyone's table, how we reach the right customers at the right time with the right message. So that's that's a good, maybe good to hear, or maybe in some terms saddening news that that's on your table, even in your sales role. I'm not sure.
Well, of course, the fact is that we want to make sure that our customers and partners in Finland are fully aware of the opportunities to provide sustainable and energy efficient solutions for buildings, data centers, industry, infrastructure. So clearly, to make sure that we are able to help our customers be the trusted technology partner for their innovative solutions, even for their business dilemmas. So, and in a market at the moment that is quite slow moving in many areas, we are kind of slowly coming out of a market slump. Everybody is obviously more or less bombarding the customers with their messages and their solutions. But I think Schneider is in a very good position to really be the trusted partner. So that is the key focus, to get the message to them, be close to the customers and partners, that they understand how our technology can support them in their business endeavors.
Yeah, that's right. I have to ask you, what keeps you driving? You mentioned you went to Inset before coming back to Finland. So what keeps you motivated and keeps you driving?
It's a good question. I think I am quite curious. I think I'm really keen to understand the underlying issues and motivations that customers and partners have, and to find ways to sort of see how we can add value to them. So I'm really keen to understand always the underlying motives, underlying needs that customers have. And I seem to have always worked, and still am working, in an industry that is fairly fast moving. So technology that is fast changing. There are disruptive technologies that provide new types of solutions. So I really like the speed of technology, but also the fact that when you can see that the technology really delivers solutions for customers' problems or customers' needs. So really sort of, and I guess it's curiosity, it's mastery, in a sense that I want to learn more about technology, ways of working, new business models, new types of partners, capabilities. So I think Schneider is really at the eye of the storm in many ways, when energy efficiency is important, renewable energy sources are being connected more into buildings, data centers, infrastructure, and so forth. So I like the buzz. I like the buzz of what technology provides. There is also curiosity towards Schneider. And of course, in that time, both Ericsson and Nokia were the same. There was always curiosity of what are the new solutions that you're bringing in. So I like to work for companies that put a lot of effort into research and development and are on top of the current trends. And of course, in all my employers, and in particular now at Schneider, we are a great team. It's a good business environment. It's a good corporate environment where we work as a team, where everyone has a lot to learn all the time. There's a certain sort of clock speed to the whole thing. And that sort of keeps me. So I guess the fact that I'm wanting to study more all the time, and I'm always looking at new ways to sort of educate myself, is, I think one is never fully ready. There's always more to be learned, and if there's a way to learn from other industries or other types of businesses, that really triggers me.
Yeah, I was thinking, just looking your background, like what's the common thread here? But maybe you mentioned that it's the R&D heavy industries where you always
Yep.
something new, kind of game changing, maybe even life changing technologies.
Yes.
So yeah, that's easy to see now when you mentioned that. Coming from there and all those industries, different, of course, geographical regions, as well as different types of products, B2C, B2B as well. How you see now in your current role, how to improve the understanding of the marketing capabilities? What are marketing affecting? How marketing can improve the business results? And definitely from a non-marketing executive standpoint, how would you say, would you tackle that issue, or is that an issue?
I do think it's an issue, and I think it all starts with communication.
Yeah.
So there is surprisingly a lot of misunderstanding of perhaps between sales and marketing, where sales tends to be very numbers driven, very sort of fast paced, very hectic, but so is marketing.
Yeah.
Marketing is also fast paced, hectic, and data oriented.
Yeah.
So, one way or another, both parties need to come together to understand the synergy, both for short term, in terms of demand generation campaigns, in terms of understanding the customer's digital behavior, and then also for sales to understand the benefit of marketing efforts in the long term.
Yeah.
Creating the brand awareness, creating the brand preference, whereby salespeople have easier time to introduce the company to potential new customers, new partners, or to introduce the new business areas, new product areas, solution areas to current customers and partners. Because in a way, it is very clear that in B2B, the customers are studying you before you meet them.
Yeah.
They are going to the internet. They're asking ChatGPT about you. So marketing's job is to make sure that there is that relevant, exciting, enlightening information out there, so that customers already have a good feeling before they even meet the salesperson for the first time. And sometimes the customers, if they are buying digitally, they might not even need to see their salesperson. Marketing can there also support the journey of the customer through digital means, through platforms. And there, I think the synergy needs to be communicated all the time, both the short term and the long term. And then, of course, marketing, sometimes it's quite difficult for marketing to clearly show the attribution. If you have created a campaign or done press releases, articles, blog posts, how are they actually concretely attributing to the business success? Are we getting the leads? Are we reaching the right customers? And I think marketing has quite a lot of tools to show sales that there is a connection, that we are reaching the customers. So I think it's and something that we have done at Schneider is create campaign scorecards, have postmortems of all campaigns to explain what happened at the event, who did we reach, what was the feedback of the customers, what are the next steps, and sort of engaging salespeople after events or after campaigns to sort of take next steps. And we have good experiences with that.
You mentioned the communication, that's big part of kind of showing the possibilities. I think that's always interesting. That maybe I ask, do you feel that we overcomplicate things in marketing side? Like in terms, should we simplify the benefits, what we get? I'm not sure where I heard this, but no brand and good brand, the difference is, do they answer your call? So just kind of in the simple terms, but what do you think about it?
I think yeah. So I think marketing could a lot more explain to the salespeople what they understand about the customer behavior, because they have a lot of information on the customer behavior. So very often salespeople would benefit a lot from the fact that the marketing people basically just tell them that, look, customers are people,
Yeah.
and these are the ways they look for information. These are the ways they consume information, and these are the preferences. These are the emails they open. These are the events they want to attend. So that way, salespeople would realize that, good, that is exactly what I need. I need you to work in the background while I am engaging the customer and pitching my solutions, my software, my products to them. In the meanwhile, you are in the background at the same time engaging the customer. So making it easier for me in sales to convince the customer to sort of like meet me the second time, meet me the third time to discuss the solution. Because it takes the customer also some time to really understand why they need the solution, what they need it for. And by sort of like giving them the opportunity of self-studying, I would think that more and more that's what customers do.
Yeah.
They, you don't necessarily just take the salesperson at face value.
Yeah. Yeah.
But you are investigating, you are reading the market, and that's where marketing can do a much better job. But to make the salesperson understand that, and also then another thing is about scalability. I think salesperson cannot cover thousands and thousands of customers, but digital marketing can.
Yeah.
So one way or another, they fully complement each other in a sense that salesperson might think that, these customers that are not in my key focus at the moment, marketing will cover them for me digitally.
Yeah.
And one day when those digitally covered customers, maybe they are acquired or they grow their business, they might then come into my sort of like tender loving care as a key account manager.
Yeah.
But in the meanwhile, they don't come cold. They have already been informed. They have understood about Schneider's value.
Yeah. They
So
have
it's kind of like
some sort of positive brand experience behind already.
yes,
Yeah.
nurturing,
Yeah.
positive brand experience. And frankly, when it comes to the simplicity is the fact that if as a salesperson, you need to explain from zero, who is Schneider? It is a longer journey.
Yeah. Yeah. Definitely.
So rather for the salesperson to have the comment from customer that, oh, wow, I didn't know you do that as well.
Yeah. Yeah. Yeah, and I assume that's the case. Of course, markets different and segments different. But when you're a challenger, I think that's the most important part, that you don't need to explain, hey, we do these things also, because it takes your first stages in the journey and takes a long time.
And I think in the Finland market, we always laugh about it, but we have finally gotten out of the dilemma of people asking, are you the lift company?
Oh,
say, no, we're not Schindler. We are Schneider. Schneider Electric. Yeah. So that has taken us a couple of years for customers and prospects to understand that, no, we don't make elevators.
And that's a business case for branding and invest in branding for the management team. Like, this is the change we actually made happen.
Yeah,
definitely. Jumping to the management team, and based on your roles, you have lots of experience working with different companies, different management teams, regional management teams, whole management teams. For our listeners in marketing positions, what would you say are the challenges, opportunities, or the mindset needed to thrive in management team and working with management team, not only in the management team?
I think the first thing that comes to mind is basically, if you are in marketing and you are sitting in a management team or visiting management team regularly, you need to show that you understand the business, you understand the customers, and you understand the products. Because for them, marketing has to naturally link into and be the glue between our offer and the customer's needs.
Yeah.
And marketing has a perfect opportunity to be there, in particular when companies are looking at expanding the share wallet with certain customers. If the customers are knowing us from a very narrow point of view, then marketing has the opportunity to enhance the customer's understanding of what all a certain company, for example, Schneider, can offer to the customers. So I think it is very crucial, and that maybe is quite a tough requirement for marketing as well. It's not only marketing you need to be expert at, but you also need to understand the solutions, the products, the software offer, and the customers.
Yeah.
What type of partners and customers are important to us?
Yeah. Kind of being the clue with all the
Yes.
business lines, regions, and whatever you're accountable for, and then also understand marketing.
And not only that, but then one thing is that we have talked about a lot at Schneider is that marketing's most important task is to make sure that management sees marketing as investment, not a cost.
Yeah, and that's
that is not easy.
Yeah, that's tough nut to crack in many
Yes.
cases. Would you say, of course, times different, regions different, but from your experience, would you say you achieved that?
I personally feel that we have in many ways achieved the fact that the management sees that marketing is really an investment.
Yeah.
Mainly because they've seen the brand awareness, the brand preference results. They've seen the customers' delight on sort of key events we have created for them. Marketing has also created a showroom. We have like a main showroom in our Espoo office where customers can come in and test our products, see, for themselves how our software work, how our products work together with the software. So when they've seen that we've provided the type of customer experiences that really delight the customers and expand their understanding of what all Schneider can do, I certainly see that they understand that marketing is an investment.
Yeah.
And of course, the requirements on being a lot more data oriented is getting heavier and heavier. And I think Schneider has brilliant tools for that. We are deploying the best tools in the market, Salesforce, marketing automation. So the key thing is, of course, to really be able to synthesize the data, to sort of like show the data in sort of like how beneficial it is.
Yeah.
And not only talk about how they open emails, but what they do after opening the emails.
Yeah. That's a good thing. And then take a mental note when you start describing what you have achieved or what you have done to achieve the investment like profit center like scenario. You quite nicely, those things are on a higher level for many typical marketing conversation, brand awareness, brand preferences. So would you say, based on your experience, that we are too much on the tactical level when thinking from the lens of a management team as an example? Because you instantly mentioned brand preferences, the customer delight, that's a big topic. So is that the thing we need to do more?
Well, it's a combination. I think in a way, marketing, you need to look at long term and you need to look at short term. So you need to be balancing between the long term and the short term. And creating brand awareness and brand preference is an ongoing, and I would say long-term thing that you need to do. You need to continue to do that to make it easier for the salespeople to approach customers, to make it easier for customers to, when they wake up in the morning, that they can even somehow think about Schneider.
Yeah.
So that you need to be visible. You need to have created those sort of like memories for them. At the same time, of course, from a sales point of view, where I am now, clearly we have very short-term, tough sales goals. So we tend to very often think about really sort of spot-on demand generation activities, and also like wanting to see the very clear connection between a campaign and how fast can you see the effects of the campaign.
Yeah.
Or how fast can a launch of a new product, how fast can it spread across the market and show that you immediately start seeing run rates of the product through, for example, distributors. So there is, it can sometimes be quite hard for sales to understand what was the effect of the campaign. And their communication, needs to take place where marketing is explaining and showing, and so that the marketing campaigns are not only a blip in 1 month and then nothing, but to show the whole calendar of activities that is ongoing from the launch, let's say a year later or 6 months later. So there, I think that is the important part, because at the same time, when salespeople do understand that scalability can be difficult, you just can't have 1,000 more salespeople driving around Finland. You need to have other ways to reach the customers and reach them also faster when you have something new to tell. And that's where marketing has a key role to play.
Yeah. Kind of go-to-market launch in I think definitely we see that in any product industry or where we have heavy R&D department, that's kind of almost the main job is to help that go-to-market phase or launching phase.
Absolutely.
Definitely.
And also then value proposition. So marketing plays a very key role in working together with the offer managers or product managers and sales to really sharpen the value proposition.
Yeah.
Because often salespeople are busy. They would really appreciate having a much crisper value proposition for the product, the solution, for the software. And marketing at Schneider does that actually really well.
Yeah. Kudos to the marketing team.
Absolutely.
Yeah, I need to link this episode to the full team to get the congrats. I think that's still thinking about the management team and the communication part and balancing the long-term, short-term benefits, as well as how you tie those into one story. Or is there some tips, tricks, or you can share with our listeners to how to achieve, because there's a bunch of moving parts there. So how you, of course, in your previous positions and now when you are seeing some reports or marketing campaigns, any tips how to tie this as a one cohesive story of marketing and value?
It's a tough question. And I think the way I would answer it is that we have made quite a big transformation at Schneider Electric Finland, where we have allocated our salespeople into channels, sort of partner channels, end user channel, and then we've also decided which are the critical focus segments that we will focus on.
Yeah.
And by having a tighter focus on a certain channel, let's say partner channel, design firms or panel builders or distributors, and then also having key people looking after the end customers of our products, and then understanding the dynamics of a certain segment like cloud and service provider, those data centers that are now coming up in Finland. So having marketing also allocated or sort of like focused on a certain channel, certain segment, or then the end customer segment or channel has helped to focus the efforts. And we are moving away from the kind of generic marketing, everything for everyone, but rather much more focused into the key channel.
Yeah.
And that way, I think the messages are more timely. They are more crisp for the right type of customer, because we think a lot about customer personas at Schneider. We do think, and we try to really understand that for any given deal or discussion, there can be quite different personas and many stakeholders. So marketing needs to be quite crisp about the fact that when do you need to have the high level financial story, and when do you need to have the deep down technical value proposition, or then the kind of partner approach. So I would think that that's the key thing, that when sales reorganized, marketing also reorganized.
To kind of making sure that we have that one common thread maybe, or commonality always, that now in this case it's the segment. We know we are going after the one segment, and that kind of is a jumping board in a sense, the more lucrative value communication and co-working with sales and other parts of
exactly.
it.
And then also marketing can have time to focus more on certain segment or certain channel, and the collaboration is easier now. We don't need to in marketing, we don't need to double hat so much, having too many unrelated things on our table, but rather then within the marketing team collaborate to make sure that you can maximize the value you're giving to your channel or to the segment that you are working with. So in a way, making sure that everyone can achieve the mastery in their area and then also have time to innovate and think further.
Yeah, kind of
Because
deep
we
knowledge.
always have a lot of products and solutions to offer.
That definitely. And kind of have that through the segment focus, have the possibility and opportunity to have a deep knowledge on that and the customer and kind of going deep and not wide in that sense. That's a good point. You mentioned the go-to-market and launching as one of the primary goal or primary way of marketing provide value. Based on your experience, how important it is to find our core focus for marketing? What's our role in this business? What would you say about that?
That's a very valid question, because I think it maybe starts with the fact that you might need to sometimes think about that. You need to start with elimination. What are the things that do not belong to marketing?
That's a good angle.
Because there's in a very hectic R&D centric, fast moving industry and company that we are working in, there's a lot going on.
Yeah.
That's the exciting part. But the tough part is then also that since there's a lot going on for everyone, you need to be very clear on your scope, and you need to communicate your scope, and also then have that collaboration with the other stakeholders to make sure that this is not our scope, this belongs to somewhere else, and then actively have that discussion ongoing on where do you focus your efforts. Because I think sometimes the scope creep for marketing is the toughest. You end up being so capable, you end up doing so many things that take a lot more time than they should, and then you feel that all these things about thinking ahead and innovating, you don't have time for. And then, of course, using partners. So even in marketing, it is very important to use third parties for tasks that, for example, PR or creative or account-based marketing or things like that, where it is better that you have an expert you work with, because we have to be the experts of our company, our solutions, products, our customers. And then the third party can be the method expert. And that collaboration is very important, especially for execution.
Yeah, definitely. That's good point.
So really sort of like, and then finding the kind of partners that kind of like can continue your sentence.
Yeah, definitely.
And I think we have certainly over time had so many of those type of partners, and currently have as well, that really understand us and really know how to take the next step.
Yeah. How to jump from that idea, because now you kind of how to lead your team. What's core for our team to do and what to outsource or partner up with. You have run multiple different size of teams. How would you say that in leading a marketing team? Is there a difference in that contrary to leading a sales team or product specialist customer success manager team? Is leading, or is there a difference when you lead marketing team or department?
I think I feel that leader's role, wherever you are, is to be sort of the person who makes your team work better, who helps them to work better. So in a way, it's kind of like a service. You are providing leadership services to your team, whether it's marketing or sales. You try your best to remove obstacles from their way. You coach them. You are available for them to sort of bounce off ideas and provide them direction and sort of guide them to the right direction. So I would say I'm not sure if there is much, in a sense, difference there. One thing that I've myself realized, that as a leader, when you do understand the business and you are, as much as you can, hands-on, gives the team a lot of confidence that we are solving the issues together. And we are moving ahead together. And that way, I think that's the key thing is like, and I like to empower my teams. I want to make sure that I never micromanage anyone because I want people to feel that they are experts in their area. And you offer your help and support and coaching, and very often they are willing to take you along. But at the same time, they understand that I do expect them to find solution themselves. I ask them good questions. I'm available to sort of like sort out issues. And often it's really a question about internal processes, internal ways of working. That's what it is in a big matrix organization. So in that sense, working for the Finland arm of Schneider has its own little issues here and there. But together, when we understand what's possible and what is needed, then it's really to sort of empower them, both sales or marketing, to take action. And then they tend to be also happier when they are in charge, they are trusted, but also supported.
Yeah. I'm waiting till I want to ask the biggest differences on your experience on very complex B2B and B2C, but I'm waiting with that because from your point there, you mentioned the team and combined sales and marketing. And I think that's very rare, at least in very engineer-led industrial companies. So that was second nature for you. I assume that it's a same team, but how would you say our listeners in different industries can achieve that same idea and, of course, same outcome as working as one team in sales and marketing? What would you say are the key things to look out for?
First thing that comes to my mind is it all starts in a way with the mindset.
Yeah.
It's really a question of mindset. Sales and marketing both are very proud in their own domains and their own areas. They honestly both think that they are totally the best, and which they are.
Yeah.
But two best teams can actually work very well together. So the kind of like empathy and understanding of what sort of like problems sales might have from marketing side, and for sales to understand what marketing has to do and is capable to do helps a lot. And I think we have succeeded quite well in Finland with that really sort of like taking the extra steps to understand better. And in the Finland organization, marketing people quite often visit the customers with the sales. So my guidance to marketing team has always been that find a reason why you should tackle along. Find a reason. Talk to them about great customer cases. Talk to them about sustainability. Go there and find a way for you to present to the customers. That way, you get to understand what customers are asking, how they're acting. And also then I encourage salespeople to say, I think it's good to take marketing along. Because sometimes for you to sit back and observe the customers' reactions when somebody else is presenting. So in that sense, and when we have created like these really big customer events in Finland, it's been a fantastic get-together of sales and marketing where we both understand that the customers will not attend our events if we don't offer them solid diamond value. And we have succeeded. We have succeeded in very well. So I think the tough part is that if you think that the marketing and sales are just completely opposite ends, and both of them are all the time saying that they don't understand each other, then it's a mindset. You need to change that mindset where you say, we all serve the same purpose. We are all looking for growth. We are all looking at serving our customers the best we can. We are all doing our best to make sure that the customer has a very easy time to buy from us. They understand what solutions can solve their business dilemmas. So the end goal is the same for both. There cannot be any other end goal. It's marketing cannot create a campaign that was cool and fun, but it reached nobody and it like raised nobody's eyebrows. And then again, sales basically say that, well, I need you to come and I need you to come to this, or I need you to arrange a customer event where we need drinks and food.
Yeah.
Can marketing handle that? Well, how's that marketing, Schneider?
Yeah.
It's not.
Yeah.
And these are just the kind of like crazy examples, but basically I feel that over time, over my 8 years at Schneider, we have made a huge turnaround where we both understand the same goal. And then, of course, Schneider being very difficult technology company, as in our solutions are quite complicated.
Yeah.
I have been so delighted how our marketing people have the interest and the time to learn our solutions. One of the big bosses from Europe visited Finland a couple of years back. And when we had sort of upgraded our solution area, our showroom that we call Innovation Hub, I had all the marketing team present the solutions, everything from power distribution to industry to building automation to electrical wiring devices. My team that time presented to this big boss the entire showroom. He was speechless.
Yeah.
He said, I've never seen a marketing team at Schneider that can present every solution area without technical people around or without salespeople around. So this was honest comment from him. And I'm thinking that's what I'm so thankful for. You, as a marketing person, it's not only about click-through rates, paid media, press releases. It's about understanding what we are selling.
Yeah. And why, I bet as well. And
Yes.
I think that's a good tip to many of our listeners, like how you enable that to use in terms of time investment, how you enable that, how you can onboard people to more technical trainings in relating our business and market as well. And I think the very old rule that you need to know the market you are in. So how you enable the time spending on competitor research, understanding our competitor landscape. How can you make a compelling message if you don't know who you are competing against? So I think those are very good tips to, like, we have the saying, I know we have talked this before, that we have the saying that if you are an marketing executive in management team, you are first the executive and secondly, you are the marketeer. So I think that's a good rollout to the team as well. You need to be the expert on the business side of things, but also on the marketing side. And I think the same goal you mentioned, how can we be a same team if we don't understand the challenges and daily problems or opportunities in each team's life and what they are? Yeah, that's a good tip. Now I have the one big question. B2B, B2C, if we compare now your life in Schneider and B2C, Nokia, Ericsson, maybe HTC as well, what are the big difference from a marketing standpoint?
Okay, so B2B and B2C, first of all, they do borrow a lot from each other.
Yeah.
Because even in B2B, the buyers, the decision makers, the people you need to influence, they're also consumers. They're also people. So to that extent, the channels that you use, for example, social media. So in social media, you do understand that consumers are in Facebook and YouTube and Instagram. So they are in B2B.
Yeah.
But then when it comes to the message and the way you do things, I think the key thing is that in B2B that I've now been in for now past 9 years, it's really a lot about educating the customers. It's a question of like, sometimes the customers don't know what they need. You need to simplify the messages for them to understand the gist. You need to say a lot, but still not make it a 50-page Word document or like 3-hour video. So it's really kind of, how do you reach the customers the way they need to be reached? And in B2B, the key thing is that it's more focused. You need to identify how many influencers. Sometimes it can be 7 to 10 decision makers on a bigger deal. And they can be everything from sustainability leader to the finance guy to the CTO to the purchaser.
Yeah.
And they all have very different goals and preferences. So to be able to connect with different types of people is the tough part in B2B. In B2C, the key thing really is to shock, delight, create something very surprising, have very fancy influencers to use your product, your phone. Your good example was in HTC, the Taiwanese manufacturer. We hired Robert Downey Jr. to create videos and holding and using HTC phones, which was very popular, but very expensive as well.
Would that work in Schneider right now? Of course, this is hypothetical questions, but how do you see? Would that work now?
Well, I would say that we have products that are consumer facing, like electric car charging solutions and smart home solutions. It might. Who knows? I mean, there could be a very, let's say, well-known and interesting influencer that would showcase his or her smart home or the sort of Schneider car charging infrastructure. So it could. And we do use influencers, but very often the influencers are, let's say, more relatable to, let's say, they could be electricians, they could be some process industry experts. Because in a way, I think B2B has to focus probably 80% on credibility. And then the 20% can then be surprising, humoristic, or eyebrow-raising things. But I still think that in B2B, the tough part is to really be to the point, crisp, relevant, and sort of like really provide value. Because I think that in B2B, it's honestly easier to ignore the messages. But in B2C, somehow the messages can come from all kinds of sources and other people could talk about it. Your friends, your family could have seen something interesting. So in a way, the word of mouth can be so much bigger, better in B2C. But in B2B, it's probably quite rare that you talk with your family about the new
power grid.
Power grid or the new, sort of electrical panels and things like that. So in that sense, that's basically the key thing is that. But we do try to always borrow also from the B2C world, because the risk with B2B sometimes is that everything looks the same. Like many of our competitors could be creating very similar campaigns. Some of us have actually quite similar solutions and products. So then if you took the brand logo away from the ad, you don't know whose it is. It could be anybody's.
I need to put the calendar note maybe 6 months, 9 months from now and look if you have Robert Downey Jr. in your Power Grid campaign. Just a tip for your colleagues in marketing. And don't be surprised when you get that in the budget line as hey, we talk about this campaign. So
right. Robert is not very cheap. I can tell you.
I bet that. In terms of leading marketing, is there a difference? Of course, the scale of things when you are big B2C brands and all that, and as you mentioned, the budget in terms of for campaigns, but in terms of leading marketing from a leadership standpoint, is there a difference in B2C and B2B?
Yes. In the leading part comes from the fact that in both cases you need external partners. You need the creative partners, you need the PR agencies, you need many types of partners. So I think in B2C, it's assumingly sometimes the products are quite simpler to grasp in comparison to, let's say, electrical panels. So if it's, let's say, some type of consumer gadget versus an electrical panel. So obviously, already at the get-go, your partners have a bit harder time to understand what your electrical panels, for example, do.
Yeah.
And it can take some more time to prepare them with the value proposition. So I think we have to work a bit harder internally. Information is plentiful. For example, at Schneider, we have a lot of information internally. So to be able to sort of have a crisp value proposition with all the information we have, and then also get your partner to understand the value. So there, in creating campaigns, I think there's possibly a lot more back and forth before we are quite okay with the campaign.
Yeah.
And then in B2C, of course, then it could be more a question of kind of like how bold or brave can you be with your campaign. And then, of course, it's the channels. In B2C, I think you don't have to worry so much about getting the earned media for your thing, because when you are buying advertising or utilizing paid social media, in a way you are in control of that. When you have the budget, you are in control of that. But in B2B, it is really important that you have media that is interested in your customer case, your value proposition, your launch, your reason why your company is important for people to hear about. We definitely want to find more ways to get that earned media. So leading then the team to understand that how you need to prepare different parties outside, whether it's media or other creative partners, to actually accelerate and do more for you is tougher, I would say. It's tougher. In a sense, in comparison to, let's say, if we would compare Schneider and Apple, we are obviously, Schneider is not in every consumer's mind, but I think Apple is. But then again, Schneider needs to be known by the right relevant people. But of course, I'm happy if everybody and their dog knows Schneider, then I'm very happy. But more important really is that the right partners, the right customers understand the value of Schneider and have a sort of feeling about who we are and what we can do.
So,
and then it also boils down to people. At the same time as we provide solutions, technology, software, our credibility also comes from the expertise our people have. And that is one key thing. So then marketers need to understand the expertise we have, package it into messages, incorporate it into the marketing campaigns, because it's not only the components or the software or the systems, but it's the credibility that Schneider can do this for you. We have the knowledge, we have the people. And sometimes even more important that it is in Finland. Our Finnish customers saying, I know you are a global, large company, but do you have the experts here?
The kind of that it doesn't matter me if you have experts in France or kind of you want local service. In
you want
sense.
local experts with local language and local service. And we want to make sure that when we have bought a big complicated system from you, you are around, you don't disappear anywhere, and you know how to maintain it. We can continue a long relationship with you. We can keep on buying spare parts. It's really the kind of credibility of being that trusted technology partner.
It's not the one-off as in many cases in consumer side. It's I trust you with this 800 euros purchase. It's a little smaller trust needed than I trust you for this 5-year life cycle, 10-year life cycle system. So that's
indeed. And then especially when it comes to area of like automation, electricity,
resilience,
resilience and the safety of electrical systems. So you need to deal with company that knows what they're doing.
We started off on how we make our non-marketing stakeholders understand more about the possibilities we can do. Do you see, is there a difference in mindset in B2C, B2B? Because I have worked my whole career in B2B and very complex, heavy B2B side of things. And I have not a day of experience in B2C. I like it this way, at least for a while. But I was very surprised when I noticed from a colleague that B2C company, very large B2C company, and one of the main metrics in their management team was marketing owned and marketing related market share. And it was owned by marketing. It was very fast moving product, but it's not very common to see those kind of marketing owned metrics B2B. So from a value standpoint and from executive standpoint, management team standpoint, is there a difference how we see marketing as non-marketing executives in B2C, B2C?
I think there is. In B2B, we often talk about marketing influenced pipeline.
Yeah.
So in our industry, the sales cycles in some of the business units can be fairly long. In others, it can be shorter. But when the sales cycle is long, then there needs to be a way for both parties, marketing and sales, to understand how marketing along the way from the first connection or even kind of like the first prospecting, how marketing influences the sort of purchase journey or the sales cycle. And what are those key touch points where we can indicate that? And I think we have done that quite interestingly at Schneider, where we have been able to follow the process so that we've seen that the salesperson has connected with the customer and then gotten the customer to opt in for marketing newsletters. And then we can see along the way when the sales cycle is ongoing that the customer is opening the newsletter, they are downloading documents, they are going into a website, or they are signing up for our webinars. So the key thing is to show that people from that customer's organization are actually interacting with us digitally while the salesperson is physically driving to the customer's premises to talk about the next steps or technical proof of concept or things like that. So I don't think in B2B we talk about marketing owned. It's more marketing influenced pipeline and marketing influenced revenue that comes into the company, which is sometimes fairly difficult to measure. And again, I guess in B2C, it can be easier. In my Nokia days, it was easy for me with my marketing scorecard to show how quickly I can improve the run rate of the phones through the resellers' channels. So the effect of the campaign can sometimes be so much faster, because there's also one key thing that I feel, and this could be relevant for other companies too, but it's sometimes the kind of what we call day zero, when the product is actually on shelf and can be purchased. In B2C, it can be an event itself. It can be kind of like, ta-da, ribbons in a shop and balloons and wine and coffee and buns and I don't know what. And then you expect a lot of people to flock in and come and look and buy. But in B2B, you have your day zero when you know that your product can be purchased. But sometimes you might have early adopters that are already sort of testing it, or you have spoken 3-4 months before the D-date, the day zero. You have spoken about the product or solution so that the customer has time to understand it, soft test it, get more influencers and people, stakeholders in to understand it before they can say that, yes, I think we need to make a proposal to buy this, or we need you to come and explain to us how this can be integrated into our current systems. So that would be, in a way, at least one difference.
Yeah, but just thinking that the root cause for that is that in B2B it's harder to create demand, because if if we launch this new system today, our customers have demand, they have budget for that for this year, or they have not. So it like absolutely take longer time to show, contrary to now there's new fancy gadget phone, whatever. And the demand is created by marketing.
True.
Want to buy.
True. And for us, for electrical wiring devices that you have in your homes, your light switches and things like that, those there can be when we are launching new series, or anybody is launching new series, there can be a more instant demand generation, that you are really advertising together with your distributor partners, that now there's a new series, easier to install, fancy colors, fancy functionalities and things like that. But most other solutions and products we have is exactly as you said. It's not like, you come up with this new electrical panel, so it's not like, whoa, okay, we need to get that. Because you obviously need to have a project. And very often it's also a question about, we might be working on a lead together with the partners, together with the end customers. They can be so complicated that you need a lot of parties to sort of discuss and prepare and evaluate. And then even at that point, the end customer can say, what are my options? Like, who else has these solutions? So then we need to keep on convincing that it is easier for them to buy it from us with our expertise, with our solutions. And then, of course, then there's a lot of question about supply chain, lead times, payment terms, because very many of those solutions are a lot more expensive. So consumer devices is basically, if the consumer has credit, if he or she needs credit or has the money, then the purchase can be like, buy now. And they can be the kind of deals that, you get 15% off if you buy it now, this weekend.
So in the launch date.
Yes, launch date, you get an extra, cover for the phone, you get extra accessories.
That's a good point. And of course, the decision-making group, depending on the decision, it's typically, in typical family setting, it's 2 to 4, 2 to 5, contrary to B2B, whereas the whole consensus building is so much longer.
10 or even more.
All right, great discussion. We always like to wrap things up with a couple quick fire questions. If you could give yourself one tip when you were starting your career in the first marketing leadership managerial position, what that advice or tip would be?
I guess in marketing, I think I would now say to myself that faster find ways to meet customers. Remember that you need to be double master. You need to be master in the marketing domain, but you also need to be master in understanding who you are talking to, who you are trying to reach and connect to. I do think it took me also a bit time before I was fully comfortable going to customers and partners. But I would say that, immediately, and don't wait for sales to ask you to go. Invite yourself. I mean, offer your services to go along, because it's so much better to sort of see and hear it from the customer directly, what they are tackling with, what they want to hear from us, and what they know already. Because sometimes if you are just in your own area and you do your own things, the toughest thing in marketing is that you don't know if it reached anybody or if it mattered at all what you did. And of course, in marketing, you want your efforts to matter. You really do. So and then of course I would also say that, even if you're not an engineer and you are in a very heavy engineering company, learn the technology, learn the products. It makes it so much easier. You can innovate more when you understand to certain level, because then basically you're not totally waiting for the product manager to provide you all the answers, but you can come with the hypothesis to the product manager and say, I've thought about these things for the value proposition. The conversation is immediately so much better.
So we are not needy. We are not asking,
we're not needy, but we are truly partners. We are asking right questions. We are knowing already a little bit. We're understanding why these products are needed and how we could differentiate. So,
and I like that mastering 3 dimensions: the marketing domain, the product, and the customer. I like that as a wrap up, as well as taking ownership, that not being on the second-hand information kind of. I assume like that's one big part, that go to the source, so to speak. So
exactly.
that's a good. In your current role, if you could get your marketing budget for your profit and loss responsibility 3 times
Wow.
what it's now, what would you do?
Wow.
Or let your team to do in your current role?
I think it's a tough question in a sense.
And why it is Robert Downey Jr.?
Yeah, I might still want to call Robert, but I think one of the things that I've sort of desired for a long time, and that is definitely one thing I would do, is to extend the campaigns a lot longer, because very often in B2B the marketing budgets are not as big as they are in B2C. So you need to do a lot of compromises for the budget to last you the whole year.
Yeah.
And you need to make decisions on whether to do this or that. But if you had 3 times the budget, then you could amplify the current activities much more, but even more, you could extend it. So what I'm trying to say is that sometimes I think we might have money to only do kind of like a peak. And the peak could last maybe 1 quarter.
Yeah.
And then beyond that 1 quarter, then your marketing money is kind of gone.
Yeah.
Then you can do maybe organic social media, you can do organic PR and things like that. So it would be so fantastic to have more of those peaks. And that's what I would do. I would do that. I would create those customer delighting activities, events, and materials. And I would really do my best to dominate the media.
Yeah.
Dominate the media like crazy.
And I think that's always the fun part when we talk about this 3 times the budget, 2 times, 5 times the budget, that in many cases when we do competitive analysis with our customers, that would basically guarantee that you dominate. So
Yes.
From a business standpoint, that 3 times budget, it's not actually that big of an investment.
No.
So I like that, and the Robert Downey Jr. as well.
Exactly. So in B2C, there's really big budgets. Then you are kind of like, you are in billboards, you are in bus stops, you are in all media, you are on TV, you're kind of like, you're on radio, you are everywhere. But all of those just mentioned, influencers, TV, radio, everything, they are fairly expensive.
Definitely.
So with big budget, you can really, really dominate. And one way or another, nobody goes cold. Everybody has heard about Schneider.
Yeah.
That would be fantastic.
Yeah. That's let's put that on our to-do list in after the episode.
Absolutely.
Yeah. Great discussion. Thanks for being here as a guest, and bunch of areas we probably need to arrange a second one as well. I think we only covered just the tip of the iceberg of your experience today. But if our listeners have any questions they want to touch base with you, connect, what are the best formats or best channels to reach out to you, Sirpa?
I think maybe LinkedIn is the best. I am quite active in LinkedIn, so Sirpa Ikola, and you will find me in LinkedIn and connect with me there. And I'm more than happy to share my experiences for those that might find it useful, or coach you or help you along the way. So LinkedIn might be the best way to connect with me.
We will link your LinkedIn profile on the show notes as well, so people will find the right Sirpa on LinkedIn. All right, wrapping up. Thanks very much for being here, and thanks for our listeners for joining this show. We will meet you next time.
Thank you. It was a pleasure.
Thank you for listening to Morning Brew for Marketing Executives. We hope you found today's episode insightful and inspiring. If you enjoyed the conversation, please subscribe and leave us a review. It helps us bring you more stories from marketing leaders. This podcast is produced by Maven First. For more information, please visit mavenfirst.com.